Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're continuing where we left off last time in the Roman history. And we're going to start with Romulus when we last left him. He had just killed his brother and was not feeling very good about it. But now he has to create a city, obviously, which is going to be a very daunting task. So he gets his wits together and thinks, and then he realizes that he could just build it on the hill that he fought his brother over, the Palatine. So he builds a city, obviously with some others. He can't do this by himself. Just pretend that I can draw buildings, you know. So obviously he builds the city in the area around the hill, and there are plenty of citizens, you know. So obviously there are some citizens that are like the leading families of the region. They're aristocrats. They're really wealthy. So Romulus selects 100 of these men and makes them become senators. So basically their role is to advise the king in his duties, and it's just generally it'll be 100-man body, and that's how most people remember it, even though by the end of the Republic it was huge and bloated. Anyway, so this guy's a senator. He's a pretty cool guy. And most of the able-bodied citizens became soldiers, so this guy here. And basically the way the war worked at this time was basically this guy would just rush at an enemy, and there wasn't much tactics involved, and there weren't many full-scale battles either. It was mostly just plundering the countryside. Anyway, now that that's done, I'm explaining how the basic structure of Rome went. You can see that Rome, being a new city and basically free of all past obligations, would be a haven for criminals and those looking to escape the law. So plenty of those types of people came into Rome, and Romulus was happy about this because obviously he needed a lot of men. Anyway, the next thing that Romulus did was he went up to local dignitaries. So this guy we'll just call a local dignitary. And Romulus is basically just like, hey, you know what? Is it okay if our men are allowed to marry your women? And then this guy was like, nah, bro, we're good. And then Romulus got pretty mad, but then he came up with a plan. And Romulus's great plan was basically he was going to first, obviously, assemble an army, just in case, you never know. The next part of his plan was to invite everyone, so everybody nearby, to a big festival. And for the sake of argument, let's say that there was a Ferris wheel. Yeah, anyway, so he invited everyone to a big festival, and while they were partying, so let's just say this guy's a partier, Romulus went, and with a couple of his warriors, he went and kidnapped their women, and basically, which was a very underhanded thing to do. But eventually, those women who were young and of marriageable age were obviously in due time married to the men of Rome, and not everybody was happy about that. The women were from the Sabine tribe, by the way, which is where this guy comes in. His name is Titus Tatius, and he's the ruler of the Sabines. As you can imagine, he's not especially happy about all of what's going on. So what he does is he marches on Rome. So let's just say that he marches on Rome with some warriors, dismantles the Ferris wheel along the way. Anyway, so Tatius and his warriors eventually reach Rome. They find that they can't get in, so they bribe a Vestal virgin to get into the citadel and attack. But then Romulus obviously is really mad about this. He goes in with his warriors and he tries to fight off Tatius. So I will just show that here. You know, he's like, yeah, yeah. Anyway, guess who intercedes in this whole drama but the Sabine women themselves? You know, they, basically what they do is they, they beg, on one hand, their husbands in Rome, and on the other hand, their fathers and their brothers from the Sabines to, you know, stop fighting, and somehow this seems to work. So, obviously, Tatius withdraws his warriors, and Romulus and Tatius agree to a joint kingship over the Romans and the Sabines. You see, so now Tatius is technically a king of Rome. Anyways, so Romulus and Tatius are all happy about this, everyone likes this arrangement, and everything works happily for some years until, something very bad happens. So, you know, Tatius is going to a nearby city called Lavinium, and, while he's there, the city is mostly made up of the Latin population. They rebel against him. They think that he's stupid and that he's a Sabine and Sabines shouldn't be their king. So anyway, Tatius is killed by the rioting mob. Like this, you know. As you can imagine, it was probably pretty gruesome. Anyway, now... Oh no, I can't select. Remind me to use better software next time. Anyway, they go and they attack him, and, he dies. And, Romulus makes, a decision that's probably not very honorable, but probably very politically astute, and, he ignores this, you know, he reaffirms diplomatic ties to the city where, Tatius died, and just tries to avoid angering anybody. Which is all well and good. Also during this period, so soon after the death of Tatius, he goes and sieges a city called Fidenite, with his soldiers, and he conquers all of their territory. So his soldiers go and they attack the city, and woohoo! The city is taken. So the Roman army at this time, by the way, just to give some context, consisted of about, I would say about 3,000 infantry soldiers that would just rush at the enemy, and, about 300 cavalry units. So, and the 300 cavalry units were known as the swift ones. So, yeah, just... my amazing horse right here. Anyway, so obviously he's riding the horse, you know, all that stuff. And this cavalry was generally a lot of help during this, the wars and sieges that Rome conducted. And now Romulus, was happy about this, finally. You know, something good happened. But then another city named Veii attacked. Now, Veii was a member of what we historians call the Etruscan League, which was a loose confederation of cities in northern Italy, so I'm just going to push this up north. And, you know, it's in northern Italy, and they were using their soldiers to raid Romulus's land. So obviously Romulus said, you know what, let's go attack their city. And that actually failed because VI was heavily fortified, so they had to just settle with plundering the countryside. Yeah, so anyway, once Romulus was done doing that, legend has it that he went on to conduct a couple more successful campaigns in the area, you know, establishing Rome as a major power in central Italy. And then one day, while he was inspecting his troops, um, as the legend says, basically he was out and he was like, troops, do all this cool stuff. And he was whisked away. So, if I can just do that. You know, by a gust of wind, and that was the end of Romulus, so far as that was concerned. Now, everyone was obviously in a state of disarray about this. Everybody was concerned. But, so there was a interregnum, or basically what it means, is a state of time where there's no king, but the kingdom still exists, for 1 year by senators. So, each senator took 5 days to become king, and then once his 5 days were up, he stopped. And eventually, they realized this state of affairs could no longer continue. So they decided to pick a new king, and this time from the Sabines, you know, the ones that Romulus had conquered so long before. And they picked a new king. His name was Numa. Now, Numa was a very different sort of man to Romulus. He did not like fighting. He was pretty religious, and basically he just tried, under the guise of religious activity, to teach the Romans about tradition and custom. And, you know, he founded many of the major, I guess, priesthoods and traditions of the city. The Vestal Virgins, and the Pontifex Maximus. So all of these, you can probably guess, were very prestigious, and Numa enjoys a lot of fame in history for being the first not necessarily violent king of Rome. Rome's power basically stabilized, you know, and they reduced the fear that the kingdom would topple after Romulus's death. So anyway, Numa went on in this vein for quite a long time, you know, helping out the people, making religious decisions, and then he finally keeled over after a while in the 600s BC. We don't know exactly when, but anyway, yeah, oh no, Numa's dead. And that meant that the crown would have to pass to somebody else. You know, somebody maybe that would conquer territory for Rome. They were in the right state to do it after so long. And anyway, who would the crown pass to? I guess you'll have to find out next time.